Hello?
Would you like to play a game? On January 14th, prepare to scream. Scream Rated R. Only in theaters January 14th.
How's it going? It's me, Shorty. And do you feel overwhelmed when it comes to handling your personal finances? Let me tell you, you're not the only one. Credit Karma is here to help you make those big calls with more confidence. Whether you're refinancing credit card debt or paying for an upcoming expense, Karma Confidence technology automatically identifies the loans that you're most likely to be approved for from a list of trusted lenders. And members who compare loan offers on Credit Karma save an average of 32% on interest rates. You know what the best part is? Is that it's completely free. And comparing loan offers actually won't even affect your credit score. Credit Karma even tracks your progress and lets you know if you can refinance and save money. Are you ready to apply? Head to creditkarma.com/loan offers to see personalized offers with your approval odds right now. Go to creditkarma.com/loan offers to find the loan for you. That's creditkarma.com/loan offers.
Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save up to $1,000 on Sleep Number 360 Smart Beds, plus special financing. Ends Monday. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
It's about my favorite moments on the field. But none of them are as important as my biggest moments off the field. Like being there for my family when my kids were born. I wouldn't trade those moments for anything, and neither should you. If you're a new father, California Paid Family Leave can provide up to 8 weeks of partial wage replacement benefits so you can bond with your new baby. California Paid Family Leave. Moments matter. To learn more, visit CaliforniaPaidFamilyLeave.com.
Well, why'd the price go up?
I don't know. Did you change anything?
No. Did you? You switched us to those fancy coffee beans. Maybe you're on a roll, making everything more expensive. Did you suddenly inherit money you didn't tell me about?
Whoa.
If your internet bill is giving you trust issues, you're not a bad partner. You just need a straightforward price.
Maybe we switch to decaf.
Get AT&T Fiber. Equipment fees are included, and with no price increase at 12 months, there are no surprises. Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/faster.
Chips and 3 dipping sauces with your friends or your best friends. Only at Jack in the Box.
Price and participation may vary, and they are delicious. Jack shared his Tiny Toggles big box with me just now. Oh my gosh, are we best friends?
At Safeway, we partner with trusted top-quality growers for hand-picked fruits and vegetables, harvested at the peak of flavor, from farm to you. Visit our produce department today and see how we're perfecting the art of fresh.
From Xfinity for only $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And score 12 times the speed for the same internet price when you add Xfinity Mobile. That's incredible speed at an amazing value, so you can keep new resolutions going strong. Plus, ask how to get $300 back and a 5G phone on us when you add Xfinity Mobile to your Xfinity Internet during the Xfinity Hello 2022 sales event. Don't wait. Switch today. Go to Xfinity.com/sale, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 1/10/22. Restrictions apply. New Connect Internet 50 megabits per second customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Compares Xfinity's Connect Internet and Superfast Internet with mobile discount.
For the New Year's super sale and save 50% off, plus get 12 months at 0% interest. See store for details. Hurry, sale ends January 10th only at America's #1 mattress and furniture store, Ashley Home Store. This is home.
Whether it's winning the People's Choice Awards #1 Best Casino 14 times or giving our players unforgettable dining experiences at award-winning restaurants like Vintage Steakhouse, it's all about winning at Chachansey.
Off and get contact-free curbside pickup or pickup in store today. Details at Macy's.com/pickup. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Changes for the new year shouldn't break your budget, but with rising prices everywhere, finding value is quite a challenge. That's why you need to visit your local grocery outlet for our 20% off vitamin sale. All Rexall Naturalist and Premium Health Naturally vitamins and supplements are 20% off. Stock up and save and start your new year off right. Only at your neighborhood grocery outlet. Offer good through January 11th.
Grocery outlet, Market.
Or if you're
looking out for the well-being of a veteran you know. Visit showyourstripes.org today.
This account knowing there's no way you can pay what you owe, or you make minimum payments but owe even more at month's end, or had your wages garnished, or face repossessions or foreclosures. Think there's no way out? Well, stop. You don't have to live with this stress. The offices of Richard Jere can offer you a way out. They can stop harassing creditor calls, and you don't have to lose your home. The law offices of Richard Jere can offer you a fresh start by eliminating your debt, and may even protect up to $100,000 in home equity for married couples. Call the law offices of Richard Jere. Call 916-409-6600. That's the law offices of Richard Jere at 916-409-6600.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports. All's fair and level. What I want to say today is a beautiful January the 7th, 2022. Brando Deportes. Bonjour de Vice. I think my hook on phonics is actually working. I'm learning a few more languages. Bienvenido, Bequito, whatever, Paquito, a little bit. I still got to go back and refine my touches. You can follow Big C Sports, sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the of the world. Go by and test drive yours. Tell them Charlton of Big C Sports Center. You can follow Big C Sports all around the world on 20 podcast applications from Google Podcast, Alexa Podcast, Spotify, Speaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeart-Radio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and also Pod Chaser. I think I gotta chase my breath. Give me some praise so I can catch my breath. Come on, producer, give me some praise. Give me some praise. Hard count to 10. It's all fair and level war. You can also follow Big C Sports on Geo Savon Podcast out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, YouTube Podcast, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line Podcast, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, and also Listen Notes, as well as number 20, Podcast Wise. Give that some praise. You gotta be wise to follow Big C Sports. I said, give it some praise. You gotta be wise to follow Big C Sports on 20 applications. Excuse me, did I break your concentration? I love that movie from Pulp Fiction. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast streaming all around the world on 4 TV applications: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Give that some praise. If you're happy and you know it, give it some praise. If you're happy and you know it, give it some praise. Give it some praise, praise. And I got an assignment for church on Sunday. I gotta know the answer to how many hairs on my head. How many hairs on your head? That's an assignment from Big C Sports. Everyone can count the number of hairs on your head. Do it right now. See, there's none because I shaved. Give that some praise. There's no hairs on your head if you're shaving like Big C Sports does. All fair level are on a beautiful Friday, January the 7th, 2022. I love paying homage to my family legacy of my grandmother's side, great-grandmother, Mamo, named Hattie Leach. Just a wonderful great-grandmother. Really do appreciate her. All the great things that came out of her, just to really appreciate that. On my great-grandfather's side, his name was Pop, former Negro League baseball player, also known for making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Known for saying, boy, get out of that barn, as we all have to get out of that barn. Former Negro League baseball player, just a wonderful great-grandfather. Probably really more known for just being a great-great-grandfather, teaching us how to plant fruits and vegetables and all that stuff. And then on my mother's side, my grandmother, called her Mud Deer. She was a seer, a very savvy, intelligent business person. Really do appreciate everything that she's done with us over the years. And then my grandfather, Hezekiah, another great person, making sure they could do everything to keep the family together. And then my beautiful mother started a Head Start program and a food program to feed people and also help win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give mama some praise. You try doing that. Head Start program, a food program, and then win the Little League Championship of the universe. Really do appreciate giving mama praise on every Big C Sports podcast. Really do appreciate that. On my father's side, my great-grandfather, actually my grandfather, his name is Albert Curry, a very intelligent businessman, is a pastor, had 2 churches in Oakland, California, and then built the 3rd one in Central Valley, and held 2 service stations in Oakland, California. and just a very, very savvy business person. My grandmother called her Alberta Curry, making sure that she worked with my grandfather to keep the service stations going, also running the church programs in Northern California. And then I want to say my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot and chief mechanic, making sure that planes can fly high so we could all be safe at night. My beautiful brother Todd, with his bombastic voice, kind of like lightning, speaking so loud, very strong baritone voice. And my beautiful son Malcolm is a college educated. He's a college student, covers the NBA basketball, knows the NBA stats inside and out, oftentimes feeding me information on NBA. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the universe, graduated with 3.5 years with 2 major university. Also would help me set up when coaches came to the West Coast. And then Big C with his wealth of knowledge in the past. Give them all praise. I say give everybody some praise. Really do appreciate that. All the things that happen when you put teamwork makes the dream work. Everybody has some part to do with the growth of Big C Sports Podcast. Really do appreciate that. And what I love is that everybody has their own thoughts about what makes a sports show and how they do a sports show, producing, whether they have people calling in. I've done people calling in with Big C Sports in year 8 now. I've had from the Olympics out of Tokyo, Japan, also with Big C Sports. And then we had the opening of the NBA draft for 2021 out of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. So that was good. Going to be at the NBA draft again coming up when they have it for 2022. The next thing, of course, they have a lot of football to cover on Big C's preview of the week 18, but there's 17 games. Again, they all get a bye week, and they're going to do that coming up on the playoffs. There's a lot of teams right now that are just fighting for a playoff spot. Going to have that. Actually, one of the broadcasters is out for the NFL this year. I'll talk about that just a little bit. Jim Nantz, I guess, on COVID protocol, so he'll be missing for one of the big games this week. But then going to also just get ready for the winning percentages for those of you guys who like to bet. You want to know the winning percentages of teams that get into the sports also. I don't bet, but I do love bringing up that information so people can have it. And that's why I love saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love doing that with Big C Sports Podcast. ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I always honor God with every show I produce. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. And then I'll also do all the sound effects that are provided by the agency. Everybody needs more sound effects in their life, if that makes sense to you. And then I do the commercials that are done outside of the agency in New York City. I provide the stats, I do the storytelling, and I do what you might hear coming up on the weekend with the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson for 3! All's fair in love and war. Rumor is he's going to be back. Don't know how well he'll play. They may get him in for 20 minutes because he's been out for 2 years with the ACL tear, and he did that in the playoff finals against the Toronto. About 2 years ago. He hasn't played about 2 years, and he came back and shot free throws. Isn't that something? Really do appreciate all the work effort that he's put back into it. And then I upload the show to the platform. It goes out to 20 podcast applications all over the world. Never missed a show since starting Big C Sports back on September the 12th. 2015. Really do appreciate that. That started with Salem Media. I'm one of the only sports shows, not only saying thank God, but I love to give out scripture for young people that are paying attention, and oftentimes heard this from my grandfather. It's in the book of Genesis, chapter 13, verse 15. It says, "For all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever." And the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2 says, "We have not because we ask not." So if you need something to just ask and give the Bible some praise, I said, give it praise. Everybody needs someone to lean on, especially in times like we've had with COVID. I want to also make sure that I pay homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Everybody's going through something. If you know anybody dealing with issues, it could even be yourself. It doesn't just have to be a veteran. Pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and they will stand on their head to help you get some help. Give that some praise. Our first responders with the Veterans Crisis Hotline. Every time you need help, you call somebody. Someone has to answer that call, and they do a great job answering with the Veterans Crisis Hotline. Also want to say, very happy to be affiliated with Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight. Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open yourself on the same play, Big C Sports Podcast. You will see our apps pop up all over the world and give that some praise. Really do love that. Seeing Big C Sports streaming on television. Xfinity, Apple, Fire Stick, and also Amazon TV. So it's all fair in Leavenworth. I really do appreciate the growth of that. Also very happy to be affiliated with our real estate division for valleyhomesweekly.com, a real estate program that you can see all over the country on valleyhomesweekly.com. And then if you want to know what's going on in real estate in your neck of the woods, go to the nationalrealestatepost.com. That's the nationalrealestatepost.com. If you want to find out what's going on with mortgages in your neck of the woods, go to mortgagedailynews.com. That's mortgagedailynews.com. If you're looking for funding, you can go to, there's a great service that's part of the Big C team in 2022. Unsecured funding between $10,000 and $400,000 in funding can be used for any purpose. Business startups, real estate investments, repairs and renovations. There's working capital, down payment assistance, investing in the stock, debt consolidation, and even student loans, which I hope the Biden administration will wipe out all student loans for people that graduate college. And that would be a big seminal change, a sea change in this administration. We have over 240 lenders that can help you get the funding you need. So when the banks say no, the Big C team can help. There's a minimum qualifications, 650 credit score, $27,000 annual adjusted income, no new lines of credit in the last 6 months, and then 2 years of consistent income. All you got to do is reach out. If you want to know information about that, reach out to 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624, and give that some praise. I said give that some praise, all fair in Leavenworth. When you're looking for funding for any purpose, just call and see if you get qualified. Also want to say, for everybody out there betting, I'm going to run down in the NFL when I do the NFL segment on Big C's previews for Week 18. Going to talk about the winning percentages of football teams that win their games. I don't encourage betting, but some guys love to bet. You know, you can't win if you don't try. But it's everybody just got to know how the game works, though. The house is always going to win most of the time. I also want to say thank you to Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, but 100% honest game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meat? And as I heard, a lot of exotic meats, they taste better in your mouth than they do in your hand. All's fair and Leavenworth. Before I take the Big C pause, I just want everyone to know this is the first week of 2022. I hope that everybody stays healthy, wealthy, and wise. Make sure that you stay masked up. Practice your social distancing. All's fair and Leavenworth. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 20 podcast applications all over the universe, and then 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that. I'm going to say, are you ready for some football? Of course you are. Got to be ready, because it's the final week of the regular season. Some players will go home. Others will get ready for the playoffs. All's fair and Leavenworth. Nobody's really healthy this time of year. It's about fighting through the pain by using some of that hurt no more that they spray on your all fair and Leavenworth. So week 18, again, 17 game regular season. Every team has a bye, so we're going into week 18 of the regular season. And for teams that remain in the playoff hunt, we have 5 teams in the AFC that are still in line for the last 2 football playoff spots. So this week is really going to be like watching the playoffs. And then Sunday night football matchup between the Los Angeles Chargers and then the Las Vegas Raiders. It's amazing that both of these great teams have moved since the Holy Roller. The Chargers were in San Diego. The Raiders were in Oakland for the Holy Roller. Will we see Holy Roller Part 2 in Las Vegas? When you think about it, Brent Musburger always says, jackpot, baby. Will we see Holy Roller Part 2? We will, because one of these teams will most likely roll into the playoffs. It's a play-in game that should be a great way to end the regular season. And then you would think with the John Madden passing on this year and the Raiders having a chance to honor John Madden, I think they have a torch lighting ceremony for John Madden before the kickoff. So the crowd's going to be jacked up at Allegiant Stadium. You know they're going to be at a favorite pitch. And then touchdown Derek Carr against touchdown Justin Herbert. It's going to come down, in my opinion, to who can hit the deep pass. They both can throw the ball deep. And the Raiders, obviously, if it comes down to a field goal, you got to like the way they've won a lot of games on the road with the field goal. to me, it just seems like, I know the Chargers and the Raiders, who can tell who's going to win this game? Going to be a madhouse in Las Vegas. It's great for the state of Nevada and the city of Las Vegas. Nevada's known for the silver state. The Raiders are silver and black. John Madden, they're lighting the torch. The stadium looks like the silver and black stadium should look. And it just feels like it's all set for the Raiders to win. They're at home. They have everything planned for them. The crowd should be on their side. The Chargers don't have a great run-stop defense. I'll get into that as I get into Big C's previews for NFL football. Also, across the country, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens also play. They need the Colts to open the door with a loss. And who knows, no one thought the Colts would have lost to the Raiders last week, but it happened. The NFC picture, a little bit more focused. San Francisco 49ers, there's gold in them there hills, but they need a victory in them there hills in Southern California in that beautiful stadium in Los Angeles, Inglewood, SoFi Stadium, against the Los Angeles Rams. I believe the 49ers have beaten the Rams 5 in a row, and they got to get into that wild card spot. Everybody has their own opinion about can they do it or can they not do it. I really do think that the 49ers have as much of a chance as anybody going on the road and getting a win against a team that they've actually owned this year against the Los Angeles Rams that have had so many interceptions. I believe that Stafford's thrown 12 interceptions in his last 8 games. That's too many. But that NFC is wide open. If the 49ers win, they're in. If not, New Orleans could get in with the victory against the Atlanta Falcons. I think Atlanta's going to beat New Orleans. I just don't think that Taysom Hill can beat Matt Ryan. And this is Matt Ryan, maybe his swan song in a Falcons jersey, who knows? But the rest of the weekend is about seeding and trying to figure out which teams are going to travel or what teams are going to stay home, and then which teams got to pack up their bags and get ready for the NFL draft, also coming up in the beautiful city of Las Vegas, Nevada, later in the year. But now the rest of the week is about seeding with the Packers, and the Bengals could be resting their starters this week. How does that impact the play of these games? How it's going to play out? I don't like resting players, but at the same time, players need rest. But you don't want to lose the mojo going into the playoffs. That's just my opinion. If the Packers rest their starters, they're already going to get the bye. That's going to be 2 weeks of resting. They already get a bye week to rest, and then they have 2 weeks. Taking 2 weeks off in football, how do you slow down a locomotive and then start it up right away? So it's game 17, but week 18 of the NFL All-Star 11 War. I'm going to say, as I love to say, for this first preview of the 2022 Big C's NFL football previews, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show, All-Star 11 War. Well, here's my picks coming up for Week 18. Kansas City Chiefs, they're -10 at the Denver Broncos, Saturday, 4:25 p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports. Now, the Chiefs may not get the home field advantage because of their loss to the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 17. Now, Kansas City can put the pressure on the Tennessee Titans in the early games because, if you think about it, either way, Patrick Mahomes, if he gets on track in an AFC West division rival, then it's going to be very tough to knock out Kansas City, even though Kansas City had Cincinnati down double digits twice last week, and they let them off the hook. But Cincinnati has a better offense than what the Denver Broncos bring. I know it's up in the Mile High City, but they played there and won before. And I'm just going to go with my thoughts. It's going to be Kansas City's going to get their groove back. Again, they lost by a field goal on the road to Cincinnati. Now they came back home to Kansas City. They got to go out again on the road again. I just don't think that the Broncos pose the same kind of threat that Cincinnati did. I'm going to go with Kansas City 34. Denver Broncos 21, 34-21, so I think they cover that spread. All fair in 11 War. I'm going to go with a big game. It's such a big game for the fans in Philadelphia that do not like winning because they don't tend to rally behind their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. All he does is win. He won at Alabama. He won at Oklahoma, got Alabama and Oklahoma into the college Final Four football playoffs. And now he's getting Philadelphia, knocking on the door of the playoffs. And they don't like, we don't know if he's our guy. Like, if you don't know if he's our guy, then who's your guy? Dallas Cowboys, 2.5-point favorite at Philadelphia, Saturday, 8:15 p.m. kickoff on the NFL Network. When you look at Philadelphia and Dallas, They clinched playoff spots, and Dallas missed out on this chance for a home field advantage where they lost to the Arizona Cardinals last week. A game that they just started slow. It's like they lost a little bit of their mojo. Now, the Eagles have won. When you think about it, they've won the last two in this series at home. A couple of years ago, Dallas went into Philadelphia with a winning streak, and they rested Dak Prescott so they could start Tony Romo. They lost their mojo, and then the next week in the playoffs against Green Bay, it took them the second half to get going, and they lost that game. Don't rest players. Players get rest in the weekend or after the weekend's over. But resting players, I don't think they're going to rest anybody, but you have this game. Man, how do you bet against the Eagles? They've won the last two at home. Dallas really doesn't need it. And it's just a feeling. I know a lot of people feel that this is going to be kind of a dress rehearsal for Dallas. I don't know how to pick this game. Dallas has a better team. Dallas should win. But they have something to do with not, when they get a chance, there's something about the Dallas Cowboys. They don't want to eat birds. They didn't eat the birds, the Arizona Cardinals last week. And now they got to travel. And what are they putting for dinner? The entree? A bird. It's an eagle. So, oh man, I don't know who's going to win this game. I'm just going to say that the Dallas Cowboys will find a way, but I think I might be wrong. I'm going to go Dallas 28, Eagles 27, but something in my gut tells me I might be wrong about that one because the Eagles, if they're smart enough to trust touchdown Jalen Hurts as one pass option, could give the Cowboys some trouble. But I do think Dallas has better talent. But again, they lost the last two in Philadelphia. So I have a little bit of consternation in my stomach, all fair level work. The Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings, 3.5-point favorite, is Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff on Fox Sports. And you have the Vikings are kind of out of it right now for so many reasons. Kirk Cousins may be seeing his last start for the Vikings this year. Could return for this matchup, though, from COVID-19 list. And even if he does, will he be healthy? The Bears could find a way to either start Andy Dalton or Nick Foles. Will this be a better way that Mike Zimmer or Matt Nagy's last game? Is it a prediction for them? Both the Vikings and the Bears finished off a disappointing season because the Bears were rebuilding. The Vikings were in the playoffs last year. They were not necessarily rebuilding. But when you think about it, they're at home. The crowd's going to be nuts. And they should win this game. They should, but it doesn't mean they will. But I think the Vikings have enough to cover. It's not the purple people eater defense, but they should win this game because so many guys are playing for their chance to prove their lot next year with the Minnesota Vikings. Going to go Vikings 28, the Bears 24. Just my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. And now we have, there used to be a show, and maybe it still is, it's called One Life to Live, or Shining Light, as the world turns. Well, as the world turns for the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have the Carolina Panthers going into Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are a 9.5-point favorite. All the talk about Antonio Brown and Bruce Arians. I know so many people jump on Antonio Brown about what he did. Was he right or wrong? Maybe he was. But I think the fault is Bruce Arians. If you're a head coach of a team, you're supposed to air your dirty laundry in the locker room, not on the field, not on the sideline. Bruce Arians is not scoring touchdowns. He's not throwing passes. He's not catching passes because he's a hothead. He just cost his team a clutch receiver that can help them in the playoffs. The world doesn't care if you don't like somebody. A lot of players don't like each other. A lot of people in corporations don't like each other. But you put the team first. So what Bruce Arians should have done, in the opinion of a lot of people that don't talk about it on TV because they want to take his side, if you have dirty laundry, it's almost like a spouse. If you don't get along with your spouse for whatever reason, you don't broadcast it to all of your friends. You have a conversation with your spouse. If you don't have an agreement with your children, you don't get on the air and tell everyone that you know at work that you don't like your children. You talked about that with your children. If you have a football team, why would you go out to the whole world and destroy your football team over your own ego? Bruce Arians has a big ego, but he's not the one on the field. And because of his ego and not knowing how to deal with things the right way, the way a Bill Walsh would have dealt with things, hey, we'll talk about this in the locker room. He could have done it that way, but he didn't do it. Bill Belichick doesn't like everybody on his team, but he deals with it in the locker room. So Arians is the fault, in my opinion, but he's the head coach. He's the one with the hot head. that should have talked to his player and said, hey, let's figure out how to get you what you want because our goal is to win the championship. Our goal is not to kick you off the team. So that was immature on his part. And Big C Sports is the only one that will tell you that. You got to be the leader of the team. And as a leader, you deal with things behind closed doors because every team has its problems. Everybody has problems. But why would you throw them under the bus in a stadium full of 75, 80,000 people? That's dumb. So he's to blame in my opinion. Now they have one less receiver to throw to. Just my opinion. But Sunday, 1 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox. Now Tampa, the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got to put behind the drama with Bruce Arians and Antonio Brown. And also the team needs to get healthy for the postseason. But they got to do it with less receiver because their head coach can't keep his ego in check and talk to the guys on his team behind closed doors. I'm sure he doesn't like everything Tom Brady does. But does he call Tom Brady out of his name on the sideline, cuss him out? No, he would talk to him behind closed doors. So that was a Bush League move by Bruce Arians, in my opinion. So now they got to figure out what's going to happen. Maybe Tom Brady's going to sit this game out against Carolina because they may not need it. But the Tampa Bay, last year they proved that the playoff seeding is not as important as having people healthy. But they're not healthy this year. Think about that. They're not healthy this year, but they're playing a team in Carolina that just doesn't know what they're doing. They've given up already, it seems. And they've cut down on the quarterback, whether it's Darnold or if they're going to go out there and bring in Sam Darnold and have him start the game, or will it be Cam Newton? They just seem to be out of sorts right now. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay winning this game 24-20 over the Carolina Panthers. There's another big game it's not as big now as it could have been had the Miami Dolphins beaten the Tennessee Titans down in Tennessee last week. But it's a game that obviously, it's a game that it's a revenge game for New Orleans. Not New Orleans, for New England. And New England lost because they fumbled inside the red zone at home first game of the season against the Miami Dolphins. It's a revenge game. They're favored by 5.5 points. Miami doesn't have anything to play for, so I think they'll be down a little bit flat. This game is a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on CBS Sports. And now you have Mac Jones going up against his old alma mater and Tua Tagovailoa in the playoffs. But Mac Jones is going to try to keep it rolling in preparation for his first postseason run for the New England Patriots. New England missed the playoffs last year, but they'll get back there this year. Now, the Miami Dolphins, they were eliminated in Week 17. Will they keep it competitive? I don't think so. I think they're going to be – there's nothing really to play for Miami except for maybe trying to keep their stock for next year. I think New England grinds out a win in the AFC East. They're going to finish 7-1 on the road when you think about that. And heading into the postseason, to go into the postseason with momentum, unless Coach Flores has something up his sleeve, I think New England wins this game. It's not going to be a blowout win, but I think they win it maybe 28-21. Just my opinion going forward. Now, an intriguing game, another game that has a lot of intrigue in. The New Orleans Saints, a 4.5-point favorite at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not buying that one at all. I know the Saints have a great defense, but they don't score a lot of points. And Atlanta's at home, should have a big crowd on hand for the season-ending game for the Falcons and Matt Ryan, of course. Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. Now, New Orleans, they need a win, and they need the 49ers to lose. I don't think the 49ers are going to lose at SoFi Stadium. They've beaten them 5 in a row. If they run the ball 35 times, the 49ers win. That's just the key. Short passing game, run the ball. They blew out the Rams last time up in San Francisco. They have the formula for doing it again. Shanahan has that formula. And if they do that, then they'll be fine no matter if it's Jimmy G starting or Lance starting. It's all fair and level war. But back to New Orleans at Atlanta being a 4.5-point favorite on the road. I'm not buying that on the road at all. Taysom Hill, he's not a quarterback that can outduel Matt Ryan. He's just not. He's the guy that's going to bang his head up into a defender. He doesn't know how to go down and just take the yardage. He likes to play like he's a running back. And that's going to hurt him, in my opinion. They have to try to do that in order to win because he's not a good downfield passer. Now, Atlanta's going to go out there and put pressure on New Orleans to try to throw the ball. And it's about Matt Ryan. Here's his chance to throw the football a lot, even though they run game. They need a balanced game. But I think he'll try to throw the ball a lot just to show that he's a much better quarterback than Taysom Hill. And I think Atlanta's going to get that win. I'm going to go Atlanta 24. I'm going to go with the Saints 24-21. Going to go with Atlanta winning that game over the Saints. If you're Matt Ryan and Arthur Blank paid you $155 million, if you can't beat Taysom Hill and you're at home in the Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium down in Atlanta, I don't understand how he could get away with that anymore. But another big game. It's a big game for the sake of big games, meaning do you rest your players? The Green Bay Packers, they are 11-point favorite at the Detroit Lions. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff on Fox Sports. And will the Packers rest their players? Remember, if they rest them, they're going to get home field advantage, and then they'll have a week off. But if they rest players, that's 2 weeks off for an NFL team. That's where you get rusty in a hurry. Maybe play them half of the series or half of the game. But don't just have them all sit out, the starters. But you think about this line is about to shift because it's unlikely that Aaron Rodgers with his toe is going to play knowing that the Packers have home field advantage for the playoffs. And now Green Bay has time to get healthy, but it doesn't mean that Jordan Love can't beat the Lions. Remember, he played well against the Kansas City Chiefs earlier in the year, and that was at Kansas City. Now, Detroit, they've been able to stay close in some games, but they kind of melded in last week when they went out to the West Coast and got smoked by the Seattle Seahawks. They gave up over 50 in that game, so I don't see them putting up a big fight against Green Bay. But it's about keeping Aaron Rodgers, keeping his groove going. Will they rest him? I don't know. It's a game time decision for them. We'll see what happens with that line. If they're going to rest him, that line's going to get a little bit closer for you bettors out there. I'm going to go with Green Bay 28, Detroit Lions 17. I just feel like Green Bay has a much better team. Of course, everybody knows that. If Aaron Rodgers plays, maybe they'll even win 31-17. All's fair in love and war. Another game that's a big game for Indianapolis Colts. They are a 15.5-point favorite at the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC South matchup. It's a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on CBS Sports. Now, the Colts need to win to get in, so they're going to lay the hammer and run the ball. They're going to have to keep running the ball and take the ball out of the hands of Carson Wentz and trust Jonathan Taylor, who had 100 yards rushing against the Raiders. The only time they've lost when he's hit the 100-yard mark, getting his test to the win. He'll get 100 yards against Jacksonville. They'll most likely win this game. Will they cover the 15.5? I don't know. Jacksonville is clearly looking ahead to 2022 for Indianapolis to hammer the MVP candidate, Jonathan Taylor, against the Jacksonville run defense that allowed 227 rushing yards per game in his last 2 losses. Can Taylor get to 2,000 yards? Is that more important than him being healthy for a playoff run if they can get in? We'll see. I think they're going to run him, at least give him 30 carries, because that's a clue for controlling what happens to their own destiny. You got to look at that. The Indianapolis Colts winning that one 35-20, in my opinion. All fair and level war. The Washington football team, they are a 6.5-point favorite at the New York Giants. It's Sunday 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. Now, both teams are playing out the string. They're just getting ready for the weekend so they can get ready for the offseason. It's amazing, 6.5-point favorite over the New York Giants, who just, for the last couple of years, they can't even get to 500. So Joe Judge's tenure might be in jeopardy, knowing the Giants have scored more than 13 points one time in the last 7 weeks. You have to almost try not to score 13 points in the NFL. So Washington puts pressure on New York. Can they even get above 13 points in the final game? And that's going to be at home in New York City. I'm going to say they'll get over 13 points. I'm going to go Washington also gets over 13 points. Might be a closer game than some people think, just for pride purposes. What's pride? That stinking sensation messing with you. That's pride. Forget pride, if that makes sense to you. I'm going to go Washington 24, the Giants 17. I think they'll get over that 13-point mark, in my opinion. But the Washington should win that game on the road. Now you have a conundrum. The Tennessee Titans, the number 1 seed in the AFC, coming out of the AFC South. They're a 10.5-point favorite over the Houston Texans. Houston has played some pretty good football, at least with their effort. They put up a good effort against the 49ers a couple weeks ago and out in San Francisco. They got beat, but they had the effort. And now you have a game coming up with the Tennessee Titans that are a 10.5-point favorite at the Houston Texans. It's Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And the Texans will play hard. I think the Titans will need to win to get the number 1 seed to make sure they lock it up for sure. Head coach Mike Vrabel, he won't need to preach about overlooking an opponent, knowing that the Texans won the first time these two teams played 22-13. So why is the point spread 10.5 if they already lost by 9 in the first game at home. How are they going to go on the road and cover that? They have the running game. Perhaps touchdown Derrick Henry is going to return after the playoff bye week. When you think about that. But right now it's about, can they hold up against a Texans team that's already kind of figured them out? And I know this might be a silly thing to say. I'm not saying the Texans are going to win this game, but I don't see Tennessee having 10.5 to cover. I think a lot of guys for the Texans are playing for a job. Tennessee, they know they can maybe loaf a little bit. They anticipate they're going to need to win to get the number 1 seed, so they'll play hard. But they're also playing a team that beat them by 9 points last time. I'm going to go Tennessee 28, the Texans 21. I don't think they'll get a double-digit win, but I do think they can win it by a touchdown as long as Ryan Tannehill can throw the football in halftime. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens are a 4.5-point favorite. It's a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on CBS Sports. This will be Big Ben Roethlisberger's last game in the Steelers jersey, unless he starts getting on the Tom Brady regimen, but I doubt that's going to happen. Will Superman Lamar Jackson, former MVP, play if the Ravens are still in playoff contention? This is a black and blue division for these two teams. It's not going to be for the AFC North Championship. Cincinnati's already figured that out, but both teams missed the postseason. This quarterback question will be louder. I know there's so much talk about Big Ben stepping aside. There's a lot of talk about, is Lamar Jackson worth the $40 million they're talking about giving him from next year? I think the answer is maybe yes if they're giving people $40 million. A former MVP, you see what's happened to their team when he hasn't been playing. They've been struggling. And that they had the Rams on the rope last week and let the Rams off the hook. I think the Rams are a much better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin will not have a losing season. They might finish 8-1. That's still not a losing season for the Steelers. But I think about the Ravens. They had so many close calls against the Steelers. And this game is at Baltimore. They will have the crowd behind their side. Man, will Big Ben go out a winner? Do you trust the Ravens? I know I might eat my words on this, but Najee Harris he's an amazing running back. Keep feeding him the ball and let him run the ball. And you don't have the threat of Lamar Jackson. They may have Tyler Huntley doing the thing. Even if Lamar Jackson plays, is he going to be healthy? If Lamar Jackson plays, I have the Ravens winning 24-21. If he doesn't play, I'm going to say the Steelers might get this win 21-20. They play those kind of games where a team can go for 2 to win. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are minus 17. That is a lot against an NFL opponent. The New York Jets had Tampa on the ropes just last week, and it took a last-minute come-from-behind win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the New York Jets. So they're playing tough on the Robert Saleh. It's a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. Now, Buffalo Bills, they need a win to clinch the AFC East. You know, New England's most likely going to win the game in Miami. So for the Jets, again, the Jets upset Cincinnati. They almost upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Buffalo Bills, but 17 points is kind of an embarrassment to say that you can't stay within 17. That team has a lot of pride, and they're playing decent football. They're Jekyll and Hyde. I don't think them losing by 17 points is realistic. I don't think they'll win, though. So the thing about these guys is it's week 18, game 17, and we'll see what happens. Josh Allen is 4-2 as a starter against New York, but he has modest totals of 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in those games. So will the Jets hang around into the second half? And I think they will. I just think they will. This is the same Buffalo team that lost to Jacksonville. That was on the road. I know they're a better team than that. But I still look at the Jets. What did they learn about staying close against Tampa Bay last week that makes them give up 17 points to Buffalo? I don't see that happening. I'm going to go with Buffalo winning this game, but more modest, Buffalo 28, the Jets 21. I'm going to go 28-21. That's just my opinion that the Jets will show some pride. That stinking sensation messing with you. That's pride messing with you. All fair and love and war. The Battle of Ohio. Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, this for you. And the Browns are favored by 3. I'm not buying it. It's a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. The Bengals would love to have this game known as an in-state rivalry. And touchdown Baker Mayfield has tormented Cincinnati. But he's 3-0 head-to-head against touchdown Joe Burrow, too. But Burrow already led the Bengals to the AFC North title, and this is an opportunity to rest his knee for the playoffs. If they rest him, I think they'll be out early in the playoffs. You don't need to rest. You need momentum going forward. If his knee's held up through weeks 18, why rest him? Doesn't make any sense. If the Chiefs win on Saturday, if Burrow plays, then he'll reevaluate his pick. I think Cleveland takes an advantage if Burrow sits. I think it would be foolish for Cincinnati, who hasn't been to the playoffs since Marvin Lewis. What do you talk about resting players for? Keep the momentum going. Keep the mojo going. He and Chase are a tough deal. But you set him on the sideline for what reason? He was on the sideline last year in the playoffs. Keep him on the field so he doesn't get rusty. But I know that probably won't happen. We'll see. I'm still going to say Cincinnati finds a way to edge out the Browns. 28-24, Cincinnati. They have too much on the line to let this get away. All's fair in love and war. This is a big game coming up. The next game I want to preview for the NFC West. It has so much on the line. There's gold in Demdare Hills. Bang Bang Nighter game. They go down to Southern California for the Los Angeles Rams at beautiful SoFi Stadium. The weather's not going to be an issue. Now, I had watched I don't know why I saw this in my mind, but there was a clip of the 49ers with Joe Montana throwing a touchdown pass to John Taylor. It was a 10-yard slant, and he took it 80 yards to the house. That was in Anaheim when they played down at Anaheim Stadium, but it was against the Rams. And maybe it was a preview of what we're going to see in this game. I think the 49ers have the Rams number. The San Francisco at Los Angeles Rams. And the Rams are a 5.5-point favorite. Don't buy it. They were just blown out in San Francisco. It's a Sunday, 4:25 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. The 49ers, they can clinch a playoff berth with a win, and they will win. And it's going to be interesting to see if Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo plays under center. I say play them both. You have a run-pass option with one and a drop-back passer that can throw the pass accurately within 20 yards in Jimmy G. If you want to throw deep downfield, bring in Trey Lance. He can throw the ball 50 yards downfield on a dart. He's also a run-pass option that makes that Rams defense get out of their alignments. I think the 49ers, they win when they run the ball at least 35 times a game. If Shanahan knows anything, he knows that. San Francisco is 5-3 on the road this season, and they should have beaten Tennessee. But Jimmy G threw the pick. He had 2 picks, almost 3. If they run the ball, they win. 35 carries, maybe even 40. Make it about the run game. That's what they did last time when they blasted the Rams. They could be a dangerous team in the playoffs if they learn how they run the ball first. Eli Mitchell scores a game-winning touchdown to send the 49ers to the postseason. But also, if they have Trey Lance, he's a run-pass option. He scored the touchdown to send the 49ers ahead of Green Bay, their first game home in San Francisco this year at Levi Stadium. But they had Aaron Rodgers on the side, and he came back by 27 seconds. They kicked a 50-yard field goal by Crosby. But Stafford's no touchdown Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go with San Francisco winning this game. They're going to win 30-24, in my opinion, 30-24, maybe even 31-24, but I think they'll get some field goals along the way. San Francisco 30, Los Angeles Rams 24, and they'll win that game and they'll get into the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are a 6.5-point favorite in this game over the Seahawks. It may be Russell Wilson's last game in a Seahawks uniform. It's also sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all the exotic meats? All's fair with the exotic meats. I'm liking this game with 2 quarterbacks that are a mirror image of each other, with Murray and also Wilson. It's a Sunday, 4:25 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. Now, the Cardinals get back on track with a victory versus the Cowboys. That happened last week. Arizona, they won 3 of the last 4 meetings. Arizona needs to win the NFC West, but more likely, they're not going to plan on the road. They're going to be playing on the road. The Seattle's going to miss a chance to play playoff spoiler. I think the Cardinals win this game because they found their mojo against Dallas last week. But I think Seattle also keeps it close because Russell Wilson may be having his last game for a Seahawk. It's a shame, but people move around to see if they can find greener pastures elsewhere. I'm going to go Arizona 28, Seattle 21 in this game. All's fair in love and war. Now, the big game of the weekend. Everybody has their own opinion about what the big games are on the weekend, but I talked about it earlier in the show before the preview, is the Holy Roller down it was in San Diego at the time. That Holy Roller when it was the Casper, it was also the left-hander Kenny the Snake Stabler, and the ball was kicked and bounced into the end zone by Casper, and he caught it. Fell on the end zone, and the Raiders have to score. It's called illegal since then, but will we see the Holy Roller in Las Vegas? The silver and black. The Raiders have a black stadium. There's silver and black uniforms. It's so much. This game is about tradition. Both teams played in different cities doing the Holy Roller. Now they're going to meet where people always do the roller in Las Vegas on the crap tables. The Chargers, they're -3 at the Raiders. Don't know if I'm buying that. It seems with them celebrating John Madden, it's like a lot of energy would be in that stadium. Sunday night kickoff, 8:20 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on NBC Sports. And it's a win and go home or lose and go home. Win and go to the playoffs, lose and go home. For both AFC West teams, these rivals go deep. And it should be a classic game. 4 of the last 5 meetings have been one-score games. With touchdown, Justin Herbert led a 30-27 victory in his last visit to Las Vegas. And the Raiders tight end, Darren Waller's knee, will he return? I don't know. But the Raiders, as part of an up-and-down season, play the ultimate tribute to John Madden. It just wouldn't make sense if they lost that game. Because they can play better than what they played, but they played well enough to win on the road at Indianapolis. I think they can play well enough to win at home at Allegiant Stadium in beautiful Las Vegas. I'm just going to say, if they don't, congratulations to the Chargers. But I'm going to go Raiders 31 and the Chargers 28, 31-28. And that's my score. And I'm going to stick with it as all fair and level work. You've heard the Big C Sports. January 7, 2022. NFL football preview. We're going to take the Big C pause. And we'll come back in the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we are back for the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 20 podcast applications and streaming on 4 TV applications all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. I'm going to just close out for the NFL. The winning percentages for the AFC East, Buffalo wins 62% of the time. The Patriots win 62.5% of the time. So they're both tied at 62.5%, with the Dolphins winning 50% of the game and the Jets at 25%. In the AFC North, Cincinnati wins 62.5% of their games. The Steelers win 53% of the games. The Baltimore Ravens win 50% of their games, and Cleveland wins 44% of their games. That's for you bettors out there. AFC South, Tennessee Titans, they win 69% of their games. Indianapolis wins 56% of the games. Houston Texans win 25%. And Jacksonville wins 13% of their games. In the AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs, they win 69% of their games. The Chargers, they win 56% of the games. The Raiders win 56% of the games. That game's going to come down maybe a field goal. I like the Raiders with a field goal in that one. The Denver Broncos, they win 44% of their games. In the NFC East, Dallas Cowboys win 69% of their games, followed by Philadelphia, 56% of the games. That's a clue for you out there betting. Washington wins 38% of the games. The New York Giants win 25%. In the AFC North, the Green Bay Packers, they win 81% of the games. The Vikings win 44% of their games. The Bears win 38% of the games. Detroit wins 16% of their games. In the AFC South, for you sports bettors, defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they win 75% of the games, followed by New Orleans at only 50% of their games. Atlanta Falcons win 44% of their games. They're at home against the Saints. Interesting game. Carolina wins only 31% of the games. In the NFC West, maybe the best division in football, the Rams win 75% of their games. Arizona wins 69% of their games. The 49ers win 56% of their games. And Seattle wins 38% of their games. That's something for you bettors out there that keep in mind. It's just a percentage, but it's something to keep in mind, especially as we wrap up the final weekend of the NFL, as we get ready for the playoffs. It's all fair and level war. So I just want to say, for all the people that are betting and looking for something to win, hopefully you'll have a great win in week 18 of the NFL 17th game, all fair and level war. Also, just a little bit about some college football in the FCS for the championship. North Dakota State takes on Montana State In the FCS championship game, that's going to be number 2 North Dakota State. They played number 8 Montana State with a national championship on the line this weekend as the most formidable dynasty in FCS football faces a tough test. The Bison have won 8 national titles since 2011 and earned a trip to Frisco, Texas after beating number 3 James Madison and number 7 East Tennessee State and Southern Illinois along the way. It's a great team. They will be tested. Montana State, out of the Big Sky, they earned trips to the playoffs in each of the past 2 seasons and had consecutive years of playoff wins for the first time in program history. The Bobcats have not played for a championship since a 19-6 victory over Louisiana Tech in 1984. So when you think about that, they got to have a strong running game to stay close in that game against North Dakota State. But I feel it's easy to say that North Dakota State's going to win. They ended the Bobcats' last run in the playoffs in 2019 in the national semifinals, 42-14, behind 5 touchdowns from eventual first-round pick Trey Lance. They need that 5-touchdown performance against the Rams coming up on Sunday. But I think they have a formula for winning, and they always find a way to win. And it's hard to go against North Dakota State, the Bison. So I'm going to say that North Dakota State, I wish both teams nothing but the best as they all rise and shine to win a national championship. But I'm going to go North Dakota State getting that win down in Frisco, Texas. But it might be an upset also. Might be an upset Montana State. Not so fast, my friends. We'll see who wins that. We'll have that coming up to you also over the weekend as we get back to who won the championship game. I'm going to close out tonight, Big C Sports, with the NBA playoffs tonight. Is a good schedule. Also, over the weekend, the Golden State Warriors, they're expecting to get three-point shooter Klay Thompson back. That's Steph Curry's splash brother. It would be a great thing. It would be an emotional game for him. The crowd at Chase Center should be amazing should he come back and be able to perform. Don't expect him to play more than maybe 20 minutes. I know he's been playing in some G League basketball for Golden State and just rehabbing after 2 years. So it can be an emotional comeback for him. I just wish everybody well. All these athletes all over the country surviving COVID, coaches being put on COVID protocol. And I think Jason Kidd was just put on COVID protocol for Dallas. Everybody's trying to stay healthy over the weekend. So tonight's Big C Sports, January 7th, 2022 NBA schedule in the NBA basketball. I got to get my producer in the NBA basketball universe. We're going to come up with that and run down tonight's schedule. May everyone please stay healthy. San Antonio, they're at Philadelphia. Game's already tipped off in Philadelphia. The defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks, they're at the Brooklyn Nets at the Barclays Center. That game is already live on ESPN. What a game that should be. It's big on big. Want to see King Giannis against King Durant, All-Star, and Love and War. We have the Utah Jazz. They're in Canada, across the Canadian border. They're in Toronto. That game's already underway. And then Washington at Chicago. Man, Chicago's playing some really good basketball this season. Looking like they have Michael Jordan stuck into a uniform, if that makes sense to you. Game's already tipped off in Chicago. The Dallas is at Houston, 5 p.m. tip-off. Also missing that Coach Kidd is on the COVID protocol. And then you have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're, if my producer can wake up, they're at the OKC Thunder. At the OKC Thunder. That should be a game that they get a win on the road. Minnesota game already tipped off. The Sacramento Kings at the Mile High City taking on the Denver Nuggets. That game's already tipped off. In Denver, the Atlanta Hawks, they're in La La Land at the beautiful Crypto.com Arena, home of the LA Lakers. That game's going to be on ESPN to be tipping off just shortly here. The Atlanta Hawks in Southern California taking on the LA Lakers. And then you have Cleveland, this is for you, taking on the Portland Trailblazers at 7 o'clock p.m. tip-off out of the great Northwest. I want to give all of those teams some praise. Give them praise. May they all stay healthy as they try to rise and shine and stay healthy for all that's going on in the world of the NBA. There's so much going on in NBA basketball, whether it's going to be some trade rumors. There's always some trade rumors going on in the world of NBA basketball. Who's going to get moved where? It's a great time of year for teams that are making a push. Before we come up on the All-Star break, it's about staying healthy. It's about staying healthy with the COVID protocol that a lot of teams are dealing with. Key MVP leader Giannis Antetokounmpo. When you think about that, the MVP leader right now, based on some other votes, it's going to be about him and Steph Curry, Durant. They have those Those three guys are all up there when it comes to who's going to be the MVP leader. And then about Jason Kidd moving the health and safety protocols for the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks, it can happen to anybody. It's all fair and love and war. Got to keep everybody health and safety. I know everyone's not going to follow the protocols for the health and safety and keeping the distance, social distancing, and all that stuff that we're told to do. Sometimes people have COVID fatigue. But if you just talk to your doctor and just try to stay healthy, washing your hands, keeping your distance from people. How do you do that when you have arenas full of people and they're not being COVID vaccinated? They're not being COVID tested before they even enter an arena because they got to get that money. Got to get that money coming in. Just like I want to get that money for I missed the $640 million for a Powerball, but maybe make $1 million tonight. We'll shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. The $640 million, but $278 million ain't too bad after all. But NBA basketball is big and a lot of good things happening. Really looking forward to seeing what happens with Klay Thompson, if he's actually going to play out and play for the Golden State Warriors at Chase Center. They're expecting that over the weekend. Want to see him stay healthy. Kyrie Irving's return. The Nets owner, they love that the fact that Kyrie's back at the Barclays Center with the Brooklyn Nets. They just got to stay healthy, keep everybody healthy. They were already in COVID protocol. I think about 70% of eligible NBA players receive COVID-19 boosters. They're the healthiest people in the world, the healthiest athletes maybe in the world. They run up and down the court nonstop unless they get a timeout or a foul to go to the free throw line. Unlike football where you got that pause, you have a play, come back to the huddle, rest up. NBA, they don't rest. They don't sleep. Whatever it is, they're probably some of the healthiest athletes ever in the universe. Back in the day, a man by the name of Houdini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right hand man. He would always tell Ali, you flow like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty I can't possibly be beat. Eating all these big cheeseburgers keep me out of my feet. And that's why I'm always rumbling, young man, rumbling. Got that rumbling in my tummy. He's always float like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. My beautiful mother says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. Any man, woman, or child, nobody should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. As we always tell you, if you know anybody going through that crap, pick up the phone and ask for help. No one should ever have to do that on their own. As we always tell you, on every Big City Sports Show, you gotta rise and shine. Rise and shine no matter what you do. We thank you. We appreciate you. And we hope that you have a super, fantastic day. And weekend too. Eat as many Big C burgers as possible. And tell them Big C sent you. If that makes sense to you.